right, hello everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. It's not live. I'm recording this a little bit earlier in the day. I have an early start tomorrow, so I figured I'd get this done a little bit earlier so I can head to bed a little bit earlier. Also, I have a second monitor, so now I can see myself. I can see my banner down there, and this is on my right. So I have a monitor there. I have a monitor on this side like I've always had so I can see where I'm pointing to. And finally, I have a complete weather green screen area. So what happened with that, I'll give you a quick little update. There's this tiny little device. I found one on Amazon which was really good. It was about 12 bucks, an HDMI splitter. So the HDMI signal from the iPad software that this is running from right now AirPlays to an Apple TV, and that goes HDMI out, which was going into just the side monitor. And that really wasn't enough because a lot of the things, even though I set it up to mostly look to the left or my left, there are some times where I need to back off to the right and point out some things on the left side of the screen. So this is kind of where the mirror image is. I want to show you something on the left side of the screen. I have to move to the right side of the screen. Same thing, I want to show you something on the right side of the screen, I got to move to the left. So, looks like it's working out well. I got to kind of cable manage some things down here. I have an Ethernet and an HDMI cord kind of loose running behind me. I kind of tidy up the cabling a little bit, but overall, it's going pretty well. And other big news, today, February 31st is January 31st. This is officially 1 year since I started building my studio. So I thought it'd be a little appropriate just to do a little studio update, and I finally, a year later, got a side monitor on the right side, so now I have side monitors on both, which is very nice to have, especially when you're doing graphics and you can be on either side. So it's been a year, it's been quite a ride. If you watch, you can go back on my YouTube videos, and I'll link it in the description as well. My 2017 rewind. You could see when I first started with the green screen studio, it was empty. It was completely empty in here, and it was very echoey. The other thing too was the lighting. Lighting is much better now, so I look much more natural with the skin tones versus that very first test with the green screen. I just looked pale as a ghost because of the lighting situation. I've had some professional photographers. I'm friends with some, so they help me with some lighting. Basically, the idea is painting with light. So we're painting with light to make this all work and make sure the green screen is nice and functional. So that's pretty much that. It's been a year. Thank you all for subscribing, and those that haven't subscribed, definitely consider it because I do have a lot more weather updates coming. And again, thank you all for following me and supporting me through this. This has been quite a ride for a year, and I hope you guys stick around for another year because we do got a lot more weather that's always coming up. So definitely stick around for all my weather updates, car videos, and maybe even some tech videos I'll try and get in there, but mostly it's going to be weather and cars. So definitely subscribe and stick around for that. Now on to the weather forecast. So behind me here, you can see there's really nothing on the radar anywhere. There's only this tiny little spot right around Long Island Sound there. That's pretty much it. It's nice and dry out. We don't have too much going on right now. And even on the satellite doesn't look too bad either. But first, I do want to show, I know I have somebody from Massachusetts, the one in the Boston area. This is something, actually, let me look on this side. So let me just read this. An inch or two of snow is possible late tonight into Thursday morning in some locations north of Massachusetts Turnpike. So this is a special weather statement put out by the National Weather Service. So if you happen to be north of the Massachusetts Turnpike, definitely keep that in mind where there may be a little bit of snow coming through. Now beyond that, the satellite, you can see the clouds are starting to come in now. It's kind of interesting. This is the infrared satellite. So this isn't actually what we would see with visible light. This is infrared with temperature. So these white clouds here, these are very cold, and this is a temperature scale in Kelvin. Down here near very white, that's about, 165 Kelvin. That is cold. Normal temperatures can be above 300 Kelvin. So that's where we're supposed to be at normally, above 300. getting down to 165 Kelvin, maybe, actually more like right around that little color there. So say 225 Kelvin, so that's still cold, and that's how this infrared satellite works. So we had the clear air. That was earlier today where it was nice and sunny, specifically this morning. Now that's starting to move in some clouds, and that's going to be ahead of what looks like a little bit of a interesting ride over the next couple of days. So let's go to some of these forecast models. This one will start out with the GFS here. And with the GFS, actually I think it could work on this side now. So with the GFS, let's roll through this right about here. So this is Thursday afternoon. It looks like it's going to be starting out maybe as a little bit of some regular wet precipitation in the Hudson Valley area, but this could be turning into a little bit of a mix going into the night. So let's watch this. And it's not going to be too much. It's going to be mostly rain. It's going to be starting out as late Friday, or Thursday going into Friday. This time right here is about 1 a.m. on Friday. This is where the cold line, or that freezing line, is just ever so slightly starting to come down into the region there. So then this looks like we may be seeing a bit of a snowy start to the day on Friday. So it's going to start as rain late Thursday, going overnight Thursday into pre-dawn on Friday. Then that's about when we're going to see this transition to some snow. The other thing we've talked about before on the podcast are these black lines here, the isobars. The isobars are very tight together. So this looks like it's going to be a windy day as well, besides a little bit of snow in the morning. Now going on, this clears out pretty quickly. So this is about 1 p.m. on Friday. Still very tight isobars throughout the region there. And also, if you notice, that blue dotted line, that's part of what we were talking about with thicknesses. So it's almost perpendicular in some spots throughout there. And when it's almost perpendicular like that, that means we have cold air advection or warm air advection. In this case here, it's cold air advection, so we know we got a lot of cold air coming through, and we'll talk about some numbers coming up later on in the 7-day forecast. So going through Saturday itself, we have a high pressure coming in place there. This is actually going to be a pretty nice looking day at least. It's going to be cold though. Because remember, in the northern hemisphere, we have clockwise rotation around the high pressure. So we're seeing around this clockwise rotation either westerly or kind of northwesterly winds coming through there. So it's going to be a bit breezy, it's going to be nice looking, but it's going to be cold. And now when we look through more on the GFS going into Sunday, if I can grab that, there we go. So this is about 7 a.m. Sunday. Yeah, there's some areas it looks like it's showing that are showing some flurries there. And then we're going to watch a bit more west. This is going to start to come in a bit more. So it looks like we may be starting as some snow, or light snow, nothing really too much on Sunday. But then we're seeing this low pressure system coming in, which in all intents and purposes looks like a nor'easter, because the main definition of a nor'easter is winds from the northeast. So we have counterclockwise flow around the center of the low. So by the time this is kind of coming through right about there, this is where we're seeing that spin over to kind of northeasterly winds. And now this is where there's a lot of uncertainty. And this forecast track for the past couple of days has been changing a little bit. So it looks like we're going to have a lot of moisture coming through no matter what. Something called precipitable water. That's something that has been fairly consistent with a lot in this nor'easter. However, that freezing line, which is right about there, that's been the question. That's been changing every once in a while, a little bit more north, a little bit more south, and that would depend on how intense the snow or rain would be. Because no matter what, it even looks like here, we're going to have pretty intense rain, but we could also be having some pretty intense snow if that freezing line dips a bit more south. But overall, it looks like we're going to start as a little bit of snow second half of the day on Sunday. Then going later on to the nighttime hours, you would think it would turn over from rain to snow. But the opposite's happening because we have a little bit more of warm air advection coming in. So that's what's going to turn the snow in the afternoon to some rain overnight. Specifically, this is 1 a.m. on Monday, that image. Now, let's go a little bit more. So on the GFS here, it stays pretty much wet versus frozen. And now this is about 1 p.m. on Monday. So this is out pretty much by the afternoon. But those isobars, they stay pretty tight together, so it's still going to be windy. Then going beyond that, so Tuesday here, high pressure. It's not as strong of a high pressure, but it does move through a bit. And then looks like maybe later in the day, or the evening hours, so this is about 7 p.m. on Wednesday, or sorry, 7 p.m. on Tuesday. There's some little flurries kind of jutting out ahead there, so maybe that'll be coming in a little bit more sooner than we were expecting. It really depends because these forecast models haven't been the most reliable lately. So now, the end of the 7-day period here. Here comes our next round. So now this is about 7 a.m. on Wednesday. Very similar to that Sunday into Monday system, it looks like. Here comes the low pressure right about there. And then we're seeing these counterclockwise flow. Kind of, a little bit awkward this way. There we go. Kind of coming around this way. So, this is not necessarily a nor'easter because we're not really going to be experiencing winds from the northeast throughout most of the East Coast or tri-state region. You may be experiencing it a little bit right around the Finger Lakes there, that kind of northeasterly component. But again, nonetheless, whatever the name is, this is still going to be another interesting system just because we have warm air coming in here. This part of the low pressure center, when you get a little bit more into what's called synoptic scale meteorology, this is the warm sector. So we have low pressure right about there, and there's a cold front following right about down there. You can kind of see these little kinks in the isobar. So right about down into there, that little kink, that's one point of the cold front. So you can kind of follow all of these down, and that's where the cold front pretty much is. Then we have the warm front side of it, which is following pretty much right along here. It's not as much of a kink, it's a little bit less, but there's still some kinks that you're following through there. And that's pretty much where we're seeing the rain freezing line on the warmer side versus the colder side. Although, it looks like with the warm front, we're seeing a bit more chances of some icing happening. So that's something else interesting to look out for next Wednesday morning. So warm sector here, we have cold air on the north, pretty much kind of coming down. And this is where it's interesting as well. I'm just going to go a little bit beyond the 7-day. It doesn't really turn over. It does get really intense here once you get into Massachusetts going into Maine. So that's really intense rain turning into some pretty intense icing out there. So this is a system we got to watch. If that freezing line does change, which this is a week out, which is really beyond my confidence level. Usually my confidence level, especially with winter storms like this, is right about the 3, maybe 4-day mark. Anything beyond 5 days, no, it's probably going to change. So this is something we have to watch definitely very carefully. So that's the GFS. Next, I'm going to show you the Euro. So let's follow that. Oh, let me stand on this side here. So this is going into Thursday. This doesn't really show as much of precipitation going into Thursday. Now we're in Thursday night. Specifically, this is about 1 a.m. on early Friday morning. Nothing really too intense. It's pretty much just staying very light snow showers, which is kind of what I'm thinking as well. And then here, this is where it gets a little bit more intense with this little bit of snow there. This is about 7 a.m. This is about 1 p.m. And by this time, it's pretty much out. But the isobars are still kind of tightly packed there, so it does look to be a little bit breezy on the Euro as well. High pressure moves in from here, And this is going to show pretty nice day for Saturday. All of the precipitation you see here pretty much stays out of the picture just because high pressure is kind of acting like a shield, keeping that out. Now we're going into Sunday. So between these two frames, this is 1 a.m. Sunday, and this is 12 a.m. This is 12Z, which is 7 a.m. So this maybe is starting a little bit sooner than what the GFS was showing. So it's still during the day on Sunday. I'm going to say it's going to be some chances of snow or scattered periods of snow. Then when we get into the night, that's when we should be seeing the warm air coming on in. So now this is 7 p.m. on Sunday, and we could see there's that 540 line. That's kind of moving right over us. So this is maybe when we might be starting to see that transition. And then here, this is pretty much just all rain, especially once you get out east in Massachusetts there. Even Long Island could see a little bit of intense rain for some spots. And then this is really, really intense. That is a lot of rain. Luckily on this forecast model, it's showing most of it's out to sea, but if any of that comes in a bit more west, especially once the cold air starts to take foothold early Monday morning, this is something that could change a little bit. So yeah, we'll definitely got to watch this one. At least 3 rounds. So we had the Friday one, we got the Sunday into Monday one, and here we do have high pressure that's kind of coming in right behind it as well. And with the high pressure, that's later in the day on Monday, so it's going to be clearing out nicely for later on the day Monday. Then going into Tuesday starts fairly nicely, but let's watch. So the first little bit that's showing here is that's 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Maybe a little bit of flurries starting. And now, let's watch the next part here. This is the main thing. So later in the day, this is actually showing 7 p.m. on Wednesday for the more intense thing, the more intense part of the low pressure system. And the 540 line is again diagonal, but it's pretty much right over us there. So this is not, these forecast models are not precise down to the mile or the kilometer. So this can move, especially being a whole week out. Or at least this part, it's over a week out. So that's the Euro. Next we'll go to the Canadian. So with the Canadian, let's see. Again, the Canadian is not really one of my more favorite models, but in situations like this, you do got to look at a few more. So this is about 1 a.m. on Thursday for some snow showers. Interesting. I don't think the others really showed that. This is showing snow showers throughout the day on Thursday. Interesting. And here, it doesn't show any rain until about 1 a.m. Friday. So this is showing it's going to be starting out as some snow even as early as Thursday morning, going into later on in the day. Now this, let's take a look where it's going. So rain midday, and then still rain later in the day, maybe changing over, especially once you get near Boston there. A little bit of a changeover from that rain to a little bit of some snow, but it's still showing the same thing throughout the entire area. These isobars, tightly packed, so still windy. Then going into Saturday, here comes the high pressure, pretty much keeping all that precipitation in the Great Lakes region, nothing really coming down. And now going into Sunday. So this is showing something a little bit similar to what I was thinking. It's showing starting out as some scattered flurries or snow showers, even just little brief periods of snow throughout the day. And in Long Island, though, it's showing maybe we can start the transition a little bit sooner. This is about 1 p.m. on Sunday. And then here, let's go a little bit more. This is now the interesting part. And talking with a couple other colleagues, meteorologists, they were showing some of the snow totals the GEM was putting out. That's something I don't think is going to happen, but again, we can't say anything for certain just because of the track record with all these forecast models this winter. But yeah, that really dark blue, that's some pretty intense snow going on right next to the dark green, which is pretty intense rain. So this is something, again, we gotta watch out for because it looks to be no matter what, like it's gonna be a messy day on Monday. At least though, this is showing it's about 1 a.m. on Monday. So this is while most people are sleeping. Grab that. There we go. So then 7 a.m. on Monday is pretty much out, but this is again morning commute time for a lot of people where there's like a bullseye right over the Boston area where it's either going to be pretty intense snow or very intense rain. So this is something to watch out for. And then clearing out by Monday afternoon, still breezy with those tightly packed isobars. Going into Tuesday, and it's not going. There we go. High pressure, it's not going to be as strong. You can kind of see it's not as strong because it's more oval shaped here, which is interesting because strong high pressures are a bit more rounder. Weaker high pressures can be kind of squeezed together a little bit, which it kind of looks like it's doing here. And then going Tuesday, some snow showers starting later in the day, which is kind of what I'm thinking. A little snow shower chance Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then going into Wednesday, this is another interesting one where it looks like mostly as rain, but we could see a little bit of some snow turning in there as well. So something we gotta watch, but the Canadians one that is I'd say probably my least favorite forecast model. A new one I haven't really used too much. Thank you last week for letting me know about this one, the Icon, which is a German model. All right, let's go into Thursday. Nothing at all until Thursday evening. It's about 7 p.m. Some regular rain showers starting over Long Island and some parts into Connecticut there. And that gets pretty intense with some rain there. So rain overnight Thursday into Friday. And then not really as much in terms of the snow. It's very, very fine. Right at the back side of the cold front, pretty much. So this one's a tad bit warmer. I don't know if that's something that the Icon model trends, because some models trend a bit warmer, some trend a bit cooler. But this one seems to be trending warmer than the last few that we showed, which looks like it's going to be mostly rain. And getting right around the eastern part of Massachusetts there, could be ending up as a little bit of some flurries going on late in the day, or actually what time is that? That is about 11 a.m. on Friday. Clearing out, still tightly packed isobars, so still windy, so that's fairly good confidence since all these forecast models have been showing windy conditions for Friday. Now we're going into Saturday, also pretty good confidence with this, high pressure coming in. And that's through the day on Saturday. Nothing really too much to worry about until we get here. So it looks like about, I call it about around noontime, we may start to see some little light snow showers going on. So this kind of tends to be where I was thinking where during the day on Sunday, it's going to be cold enough for snow. Now let's see when it says the changeover is going to happen. This is about 7 p.m. on Sunday. So going after 7 p.m., oh, this does every 3 hours, which is interesting. For the each frame is a 3-hour difference between the last. So now this is about 1 a.m. on Monday. And it's showing that freezing line very close there again. So this could be, again, we're turning over to some rain. But once you get more north, especially around the capital district there, that's something we got to watch out for here, because there could be some pretty intense snow showers, especially when we get to these darker blues up there. And this is still the overnight hours. Now going into Monday during the morning, that is quite a bit of precipitation there with this nor'easter. And I don't know if this is going to come in as much. The past couple of forecast models that we've seen don't really have the bulk of that precipitation kind of moving inland. But it looks like that freezing line is a bit more north, which tends to, it seems like a trend again, that this is trending the icon model a bit more warm. And let's see how far out that goes. Oh, I do remember you said, let me switch this. The in-between model runs, yes, I'm on an 18Z. Let me switch this back to the 12Z. So the 18Z and the 6Z only went out 120 hours. The main runs, the 12 and the 0Z, those go out to 180 hours. So we got a little bit more room with this icon model. Let's just see how it was doing between models. So about the same. It's showing that freezing line at about the same time, but it stays mostly warmer than some of the other forecast models. And then this is out by the afternoon on Monday, but still had some showers lingering around. And then going into Tuesday, weaker high pressure, same thing. However, this is showing a bit more snow. And this is actually more like 4 p.m. on Tuesday, where we're seeing a bit more moderate snow. So that's something interesting to look at as well. And then going into Wednesday, let's see how far out this goes. So this one doesn't really look like it's trending warmer or colder than the others. It looks like it's going about the same, which is interesting. But we are seeing quite a bit of snow there. However, this one's having a bit more of the snow south. Once you get to right around the southern half of New Jersey, the Delmarva area, and once you get a bit more south there, that's where the freezing line is. So that's interesting to take a look at. But again, this is as far out as that forecast model goes. Next one is the Deep Thunder one. This is from IBM. Let me switch back to this side. So let's take a peek on this one. That didn't really show anything coming down near the tri-state region. It stayed more north of the Hudson Valley. And the timing on this is about noontime, but this is showing a little bit of mixing going on there. And then it looks like some regular rain showers later in the afternoon, the evening on Thursday. And then a bit more steady rain overnight. Nothing really too much in terms of the snow right there. That's very similar, it looks like, to the icon model, where just at the very, very tail end, it was showing a little bit of some of that frozen precipitation. Now, going beyond this is still during the night, so this is 7 a.m. now, and this is actually a bit faster. Most of that's pretty much out. Little lingering flurries are possible, but the high pressure moves in the same place. Now this one is bringing the flurries for Saturday a little bit more south than the other ones. I don't really think it's going to come in as far south into the Hudson Valley as Orange County, which that one looks like it's showing, because the high pressure looked to be a little bit stronger coming in than what this Deep Thunder model is showing. So we'll see how that turns out. And then let's watch as the high moves out. All right, so it is starting, a little bit too fast. It is starting as pretty much snow showers and snow flurries. This is about noon on Sunday. We're seeing that mixing line again near the Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey area. Then once you get to the southern coast of Maine a little bit. And now, what time is this? So this is about 2 p.m. on Sunday, and yeah, it looks to be some snow showers. So this one's a tad bit warmer, where it was bringing that freezing line a little bit more north. But again, it's kind of thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, which is during the day on Sunday, it's going to be mostly snow. And even right now, this is about 8 p.m. There's a pretty intense area right about here with some snow. So interesting to see that. Then the freezing line moves north. Quite a bit of rain coming through, so lots of rain overnight Sunday into Monday. And then this low moves out. This right now, let's get to that 7 a.m. So this is showing it's moving faster. About 7 a.m. it's pretty much gone. And how much? We are at 128 hours. We got up until 144 for this one. So now we're going into Tuesday, and there at the end. So this was showing about the same trend going into Tuesday. High pressure moves in. It just doesn't look like it's going to be as strong, but still will take some nice calm weather in between storms. Next here, the NAM. This one again doesn't go out as far. So now let's watch. Actually, let me switch back. I think it's working better on this side with the Tropical Tidbits website. So let's watch here. High pressure in place now. Going into Thursday. Let's see when the snow showers really start. Yeah, so that's the morning on Thursday. And then it kind of fades away. Then some more steady rain later in the day because it warmed up above the freezing point. Now this is about, what was that, 8 p.m. Thursday. Pretty steady rain, staying in place. And then this is also showing, it's just a little bit wider. So the NAM is showing that snow area, which on the past couple of forecast models was very thin. It's just a little bit longer and a bit more wider with some chances of snow going into Friday on the NAM. That stays with us a little bit longer as well. So by this time it's going to be cold enough so any precipitation will pretty much just be snow. And then this is clearing out later in the day on Friday. Into Saturday, that's pretty strong high pressure, so looks like a nice day on Saturday, just cold and windy. And then this is as far out as the NAM goes, which is about 1 a.m. on Sunday, which doesn't really tell us too much about what we're going to be expecting with that storm system. And then here, the last one is the RPM. This is the one when you look on television when they talk about the Futurecast. This is typically the Futurecast model. All right, what timing was that? Where's the timing? Oh, it's very small. So this is about 11 a.m. That look weird. Oh, this isn't going out as far. Let me do what I normally do here. Let me just switch over. So I cut the background for a second. Let me go back into this website. And timing wise for the forecast models, it was a little bit interesting. Oops. Let me make sure we're in the northeast. All right, let me bring this one back up. Get rid of that one. And background is back. So here, let's watch this. And what timing was this again? So this is late tonight, going into early tomorrow morning. Some of these snow showers, especially right around the capital district, start out early in the morning, like 7 a.m. and a little bit after that. Then they fade away, and then the regular rain showers start to develop again, and this timing is about 7 p.m. It's just not as intense. The intensity is something very different from some of the forecast models. And then here comes the more intense stuff. And the timing on this is about 1 a.m. on Friday. So that 1 a.m. Friday mark, it actually has this a bit more south. And then once you get into the Hudson Valley, that's actually just snow. So this may be a little bit different if you're looking at the RPM. And then this is showing that very thin backside of the precipitation versus the NAM, which was a little bit wider. And that makes its way out. So anybody around that Boston area, yeah, you might be seeing a little bit of some snow showers. And this time is about 7 a.m. on Friday. So that makes its way out. Now, let's see. Looks like it's having the high pressure come in. The isobars are fairly tight together. Here comes the high pressure, keeping everything at bay, so it's going to be a nice day on Saturday. And that was as far out as that forecast model went, which was right about there. There's 72 hours out, which was about 1 p.m. on Saturday, which looks like a nice day. Just a little bit breezy and cold, so it's a nice looking day at least. Now these last two are going to be interesting, what I was trying to show you. And the time on this was Friday. So that last one, the RPM, which is the Futurecast, less intense. So here's the snowfall totals, which is pretty much nothing. Most of it, yeah, up around the Capital District, it was showing a bit more. And the blue to the purple, that's about 2 to 4. So interesting to see that. And then here, this is, Deep Thunder. So now timing here, this is Friday at about 7 a.m., which is where we're starting to see a little bit of some more snow showers snow accumulations making its way a little bit more south. But that pretty much ended that. Now this one doesn't have a 24-hour accumulation. So let me back up here. So essentially we're going to take these numbers, so let me see if I can zoom in a bit more. So say 1/2 inch to 3 inches, kind of subtract that from what I'm about to show you. Which is interesting because this is an experimental model, so not all the parameters are there, which is where this would be helpful with the 24-hour snowfall total versus total snowfall. And you can see it's kind of coming through, and here comes a bit more. And that made its way through, which now we're in the afternoon on Monday, which is when all the precipitation is done. So what are we looking at here? Well, right around the Capital District, especially once you get into the northwest New York there. I mean, a 15-inch. I don't know if it's going to be that high, but remember, this is total accumulation from these two snowstorms. The one from Thursday going to Friday, and then Sunday going into Monday. So interesting to see. Just figured I'd show you guys just to see what these forecast models are doing and see what we can do about that with the forecast here. So that pretty much wraps up the discussion. Now going into here, we're seeing mostly cloudy conditions, cold tonight, winds not too bad, southwest around 5-10 miles per hour. That's what's going to be bringing in the tad bit warmer weather, where we're going to be seeing some rain for the later part of the day tomorrow. But overnight low, yeah, 25. Tomorrow, a cloudy start, but then we're going to see some rain in the afternoon. And again, once you get into those higher elevations or some areas right around central New York, it could be starting out as some snow showers, then a little bit of rain, then going back to this mix. So in the afternoon or evening hours, high about 44. The winds stay about the same, southwest 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then tomorrow night, boom, surprise car shot. Nice looking car, but yeah, you're going to see a little bit of some rain, it looks like what we're seeing overnight. So I like that. I like my the blue. That's one thing that really attracted me to the car, was that really nice blue color. But anyway, tomorrow night, wintry mix to start out with. Then we're going to be seeing just regular rain, and it could be heavy at times with the rain going overnight. So it'll be cold as well, getting down to about 26 overnight. That's where we could be seeing the wintry mix. Then that warm air comes in for early on Friday. So on the 7-day here, let me back out. So tomorrow again, most cloudy with some showers in the afternoon, turning into a mix, maybe a little rain overnight. Then Friday is Groundhog Day. And it looks like for Groundhog Day in Pennsylvania, Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, it looks like it's going to be mostly cloudy. So I don't really follow Groundhog Day too much, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be cloudy, so Puxatawny Phil may not be seeing his shadow, which means an earlier spring according to the lore of Groundhog Day. So we'll see what happens. But beyond that, on Friday itself, it's going to be a little bit of a mess in the morning. Then we're going to see a little clearing and maybe a little bit of flurries later in the morning going into the early afternoon, but then it clears out nicely later in the day going into Friday night. Saturday's not too bad of a day, mostly sunny and cold though, high of around 31 throughout the tri-state region. Now Sunday's going to be a tad bit warmer, but we're going to be seeing maybe some of that warm air not really getting into especially those higher elevation regions. So we're going to have a chance of some snow during the day. Then overnight, this is where the warm air really starts to surge in. Rain at night there. Rain pretty much goes until Monday, and then on the back side of Monday could be maybe that little thin area of some snow making its way through. So I'm going to say flurries for right now, but it could be a little bit more intense depending on exactly where the freezing line sets up. Then Tuesday, a little chance of some flurries later in the day on Tuesday. Now, Wednesday was a big question mark, so I wasn't entirely sure what icon to put. I did put a little chance of some snow for Wednesday, but it could be a chance of rain or some snow. So that's something you got to watch out for. It is a week away, so in next week's weather podcast, yeah, we'll talk about that a bit more, or weather updates coming up to or leading up to that next Wednesday storm. So that pretty much wraps this up. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. To get more weather updates and to check out all the other content I'll be uploading, which will be more car videos. I'm trying to get some more car sounds. I do have some more upgrades coming for the WRX. I got a bunch of tech over here. I'm going to try and do a tech review, and otherwise just regular weather updates and weekend outlooks and all that good stuff that we do here. So thank you guys again for 1 year of greatness, especially looking at all this. The new monitor I just put in today. It's been quite a ride again for the past year, and I'm very proud, and it's a nice sense of fulfillment to see what I've done in an entire year. Thank you again for all of you guys that have come to watch my channel and subscribe. And for those that don't subscribe, definitely consider it, because you get those weather updates pretty much throughout all of the Northeast region. Have a great evening, everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. I don't know why that was a little bit slow there, but oh well. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero again. Have a great evening, and definitely check back to get more weather updates with the bit of a ride we're going to have over the next week with multiple rounds of storms.